Hello and welcome to the Handcrafted Garden. My name is Carol, and this is the second in a series on container gardens. And in this episode, we're going to talk about some things that really matter when it comes to taking care of plants in a container. And if you stick around until the end, I'm going to show you how you can dress up that container when you have company. So, spoiler alert, I'm also going to tell you how we manage to kill our plants so easily in a container garden, and I'm going to do that right now. So this is how it happens in my house. I'm driving down the road, minding my own business, going back to the plant store, and something catches my eye. And before I know it, I am in the store with my cart, half filled with plants with big, beautiful blooms, and I'm so excited because I'm taking them home. And when I get home, I stuff them in my container garden. I put them in my favorite spot next to my chair on the back porch. And within 2 to 3 weeks, half of those plants are not looking very good because I didn't stop to think about what those plants needed in order to thrive and be happy. So let's look at some things that matter for a container garden. The first thing to consider is location. And so this is my location. This is my kitchen windowsill garden. It is on the south side of the house, so there's lots of bright, indirect sunlight. And for a couple of hours a day, there's direct sunlight coming in the window. So plants that are going to thrive in this situation are plants that like bright, indirect light. And if it was an outdoor plant, this would be a shade plant because it's only getting a couple of hours a day of direct sun. So we're looking for indoor plants that can thrive in bright light. And if you're in the plant store looking for this type of plant, you're going to see on the plant tag, it says high light, low light, or medium light. And so this would be a high light situation for an indoor plant. So now I know my location, and now I want to consider my container. The container I'm using in this location is a self-watering container. And you can tell that it's self-watering because of this little receptacle where you can pour water in. And you can also see on the inside, there's a watering receptacle in the bottom of the pot. And what this means is that the roots can grow down into the water receptacle, and it allows you to go a longer time in between watering. So it's a great pot to use in an indoor or an outdoor situation. And so the next thing to consider are the types of plants that I want to put in this pot, because they need to have the same water requirements. I can't have a plant that likes it dry on this side and a plant that likes it wet on this side, because neither one of them are going to be happy growing together. So let's look at the combination of plants. This is the first container garden for my kitchen windowsill. And in this garden, I've chosen 4 plants that like a very dry environment. These are from the genus Dracaena, and some people call them a snake plant or a mother-in-law tongue, and these are actually dwarf varieties. I'll show you the big ones in just a minute. But if you look at the color, that's our first design element in this container. You can see that there's a deep green. There are white spots that are random on the plant. This one has a yellow stripe along the edge. This one's almost solid, very small. And then on the other hand, we have another small one with some yellow stripes. So you can see that the colors complement one another. They flow really well together. It has this nice, pleasing arc shape to it. And so these plants in this container, in this location, will be very happy as long as I don't water it too much. As long as I let it dry out in between watering, they're going to be very happy in my windowsill garden. The second container for my windowsill garden is also the snake plant, but this is the tall variety. Some people would call this a thriller because it shoots up out of the pot and it stands up really tall and it says, "Hey, look at me." And if you notice, we have the same color pattern. We have the yellow stripe with the green in the middle. We have a deep green with these white spots that are kind of random. And then we have this really pale green on the moonshine snake plant. And all three of these plants complement each other in the pot. And they like it dry, so they're going to work really well together, and they're in a self-watering pot. Now, the Sansevieria is a great plant for beginners because it can go for 2, maybe 3 weeks without watering. That means that if you ignore it, it's fine. If you forget about it, it's very forgiving. So it's a great plant to use in a windowsill garden for a beginner. And my third container garden is tropical plants. These guys like it a little bit more wet. And there are 4 different kinds of plants in here. There's a pothos that's a neon pothos. There is a heartleaf philodendron. And there is the enjoy pothos with these white leaves. And then there's a Hoya in the center. It's kind of hiding a little bit right there. And so all of these plants grow in the same pattern. They put off little runners that are going to spill out of the pot. People call these spillers for that very reason. They're going to spill out of the pot and run all over my kitchen windowsill, and they're going to enjoy a moist environment. And you notice the color pattern is the same. We have the yellow with the deep green, with some stripes in the middle, and with some white spots over here that are kind of random. And it's the same color pattern across all 3 containers. And so when they sit in my kitchen window, they're going to complement one another, and they're going to be able to have their needs met in this pot so that this pot can be wet while this pot is dry. And so I've designed these gardens specifically with these plants in mind. And I did that by considering the location and the container and the design of the plants. So this is a beautiful selection of container gardens that you could be proud of in your kitchen window. But what if you're having company? What if you want to dress it up just a little bit to impress your friends and neighbors that are coming over? There's a great way to do that. And you start with some Spanish moss. And I picked a color that's very complementary to what I have here. It's sort of a yellow-green. And it doesn't take much. You just want a little bit around the edges so that you cover up the soil. And it sort of brings everything together. It fills in the gaps so that what you see is a beautiful container garden where everything is perfectly in order. And you'll have all of the dirt off your counter when you do that. So you've got your plants in the container, you've got your moss covering up the soil, and the last thing that you need is a bright spot of color. And for me, I like to have it a little bit funny. So this is my crow who's dressed up like a red bird, and he sits by my plants and he provides a nice spot of color along the windowsill so that it's very eye-catching when your friends and neighbors step into the kitchen. Thank you for joining me at the Handcrafted Garden. If you've learned something new, click that like button and consider subscribing.